Hi, this is Mike from Tellwise. We're just going to give people a few minutes to log into the webinar, then we'll get started then. Be with you shortly. Hi, thanks for waiting. This is Mike Hayes. Welcome to today's webinar, where we're going to discuss the case for sales enablement solutions for your business and get a great demo of Tellwise to boot. I have with me today Billy Peterson, one of the fabulous sales enablement coaches here at Tellwise. Billy's role is to help coach organizations on how to unlock the potential of data we collect, the insights we can derive, and how we can adapt or tweak our processes to ignite our pipeline, connecting more frequently with prospects, knowing the buyer traits related to them being in the buying window, and ramp up new recruits super quick, pointing them in the direction that the data tells us will work. Say hi, Billy.
Hey, everybody.
Let's start with a bit about Tellwise. Billy, can you tell me what's in the Tellwise service?
Yeah, let me just do a quick high-level overview because we'll do a deeper dive in a minute. But ultimately, Tellwise is a sales enablement tool designed to help sellers be more efficient and effective of their everyday tasks. And what it does is it actually combines email automation, provides the ability to instant message with your prospects while they're engaging with your content. We even have the ability to add in a adaptive dialer within the platform. We can even do simple slideshare presentations all within our platform and making it absolutely seamless for the prospect experience. And then obviously all the analytics that go along with each of those segments are all rolled up into one.
Brilliant. Thanks, Billy. I guess we'll learn about that in a bit.
So when you think about the situation today, most sellers sell based on gut instinct, right? So what we're trying to do is give more information about the common things that you learn when you first engage with those prospects. So when you think about, sorry for a second here. When you think about, understanding what happens after you click send, we're really sending these emails off into a black hole. Mike and I were just speaking with a large organization yesterday, and it was really interesting that they told us they had no insights into if their proposals were being looked at. So it's a really interesting bit of information in an area that we can help that organization right off the bat.
Must be true for other mediums, then, I would assume.
Exactly. So what about using pre-recorded voicemails and understanding which ones drive callbacks? Or using instant messaging to have immediate contact with your prospects who are engaging with your content and understanding what messaging along those also drive responses. And what about presentations and proposals? Are they looking at it? Do you know, do you have the ability to follow up specifically on what they've done or not done with your information?
It's interesting. It seems that marketing and the marketing automation solutions you see out there has this down. The science there is deep. They analyze opens, click-throughs, etc. I think I'm getting the need for the same in sales. Maybe a sales enablement solution will help them, eh, Billy?
No, of course.
On top of this, we also hear a lot about the changing face of the customer journey. Firstly, for outbound work, this hasn't changed since my day. The process of lead development might have started at an event, or for me, a pub, or by post in my day. The process was pretty similar. In the case of inbound leads, though, this has changed significantly. I might give one of my team the job of going to find a sales enablement solution. That member of their team would use their own experience and insight to do a solution search, ID the alternatives, then make their first purchase decision. And at this point, it's not really a purchase decision. It's maybe one seat of your application or a small project with your business. Our job then is to figure out how to get the customer to first value, to actually enjoy the product so much that they want to increase their users or increase their usage, or indeed expand the functionality. The difference between inbound and outbound for sales team is really when they enter the pipeline. And this becomes the new business process. The start of it is when they enter as a lead, moving through to your existing business process, but your job is to grow their use of your application. Outbound work, that is the dialing for dollars that we talked about before, the appearing at events that happen to have your prospects at those events, really helps us get in front of them and makes them think of us first. Inbound typically starts here, where the lead already knows what they want and they're coming in having filled a form on your website, having already selected you as a potential vendor for them. In the case of inbound, our window of opportunity is very tight. It's really a very fast process, thinking that these people are already 60% through their buy process. Given this is such a short window of opportunity, it's important to have conversations in this period, and for those conversations to differentiate you as an organization, how you can help these businesses. Once they make the purchase decision, it's again important for you to be engaged with them and understand when they're interacting with your application, or indeed the content you're sending them. Did they read your training manuals? Did they go through the first steps of your application? Are they starting to show signs of lack of use of your application? Hopefully they then start to increase their usage, their users of the application, and so on. So what we're trying to do with inbound is to get an opportunity to speak with your customers once they come in through leads and have as many conversations in as short a period of time as possible to differentiate you really from your competition. It's your voice that helps the differentiation here, your winning personality that gets on the phone and helps them understand how your application can solve their business problem. In the case of outbound work, we're still working early on to call on cold lists and develop them so that they start to think of you first when the need is identified.
So Billy, you have somebody that may be interested in your products or services. How do we communicate with them?
Well, the funny thing is, whether it's inbound or outbound, you still need to start a conversation. And there's plenty of research out there that shows that the ability to communicate and respond immediately is the most important thing that a seller should be thinking about on a daily basis. So your sellers need the ability to be able to call within minutes of their prospects engaging with their content. They also need to know when's the best time of day to call, right? So studies show that early in the morning and later afternoons are the best time to connect with your prospects. But not only just the time of day, but what about the day of week? Also studies that show that Wednesday and Thursdays are the best days to connect. And when you think about all of this data, these are industry averages. This is a great place to start. But the funny thing is, about 6 months ago, I was reading an article from another competitor of ours, and they had published that Tuesday morning was the best time to get email opens and for connect rates on the phone call. And then just recently, 6 months ago, they published this study that said that Thursday was now the new Tuesday. What was even more interesting is using our own data, I was able to see this for our own sales team. So that brings up the point. Well, if these are industry averages, what about your specific prospects, the people that you are specifically reaching out to? Wouldn't that be great to have this data specific to your sales team?
Ooh, so I bet that's easy getting that data into a form that you can spread across your organization, all of that insight. You know, what do you have there? You have email, you have telephone, you have text, you've got presentations and proposals, and then you've got the need to extract. My last organization, I was using an email provider, presentation platform, actually not this one, another one called Join Me. We didn't do texting, and we had a different solution for proposals. The challenge I had there was really how do you connect all of these different elements of data, firstly into the individual accounts that you're calling on. How do you map them all in, and then how do you make how do you drive the insights that's going to help me improve my process? The net results.
The net result is this is a pre-picture of Mike here at his previous company, and after working there for a number of years, he's a little thinner on top, so I thought I'd razz him up a little bit about that today.
All right, so tell us how Tellwise might be able to help the situation, Billy.
Well, when you think about a sales enablement platform that combines all of the mediums of communication that a seller needs throughout the sales process, whether it's handling inbound leads, executing a high-volume prospecting effort, or even driving those deals through close, first of all, the seller wants one system to work with that seamlessly integrates with the environment that they're already working in. And your sales leadership wants one consistent form of data driving all that information into your CRM. It really helps paint a picture of real-time engagement of your prospects, so understanding which ones your sellers should prioritize, which opportunities are most engaged, but also for the seller, the sales leader, what type of activity drives the most success within your sales team. So understanding volume, cadence, and what messaging is working really helps improve the process. We think that take that engagement data one step further, and we start to think, well, how can I relate this data against my pipeline? You ever have any problems forecasting which deals are going to close? Well, now we have computer-generated actual engagement data from those opportunities automatically dropped into your CRM. So it helps paint a completely different picture of that pipeline for you in the later stages. So a really interesting way of consolidating all of that information into one central location. A lot of interesting data we can drive out of that, again, specific to your organization. So what I want to do next is show you what it looks like doing that all in Tellwise. So again, Tellwise is designed with the seller in mind. How can I make the everyday functions, whether I'm a BDR, an account executive, an account manager, or even your customer success and support team, how can I improve their communication and ability to respond immediately with their customers and prospects? So what I want to do is just walk you through a quick scenario. In this case, I'm going to be an account executive or an SDR, and I'm going to launch a quick campaign to a very targeted group and within an organization to show you how easy it is to manage that with Tellwise. And I'm actually going to do this from Salesforce. So as my screen comes across. So in this case, I've just got a list view, but Tellwise has evolved a Chrome extension which will actually read any page within your CRM or from ranking or pretty much any website that has a phone number or email address on. We'll pull that information through. So in this case, I've got a list of a few of my coworkers here. I promised them I wouldn't send them too many messages, but I'm going to do it anyway. So in this case, I want to launch my email campaign, and I might follow that up with some phone calls. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select new messages. Tellwise allows you to have some pre-built templates within your environment. So I'm just letting the screen catch up here. The idea of having a templated message is multi-fold, right? I'm going to understand based on the analytics what drives the highest open rates. I'm also going to understand what drives responses and understanding what type of content is important to those contacts that I'm going to send out. So in this case, here's these 10 individuals that I pulled directly from that lead list in Salesforce, and I'm going to go ahead and send that off. And again, I've done this directly from the Salesforce page. So now I want some real-time data on this group here. So I'm going to click over. This is my live page here in Tellwise. This is what I use to follow up my demos, what I do to help drive my deals through trials and ultimately to close. But in this case, I'm going to show you a sent campaign view. And this is a real-time breakdown of what's happening with this campaign. So I'm going to start to understand who's opening my emails, who's not opening my emails, also who's clicked through and viewed content, and it's all going to happen in real time. So obviously I just sent this message out. So as my coworkers start to see this land in their inbox, they're going to start to open and interact with it, and I'm going to be getting obviously notifications that things are happening. But I'm going to jump ahead. I'm actually going to go to one that I've already sent out just to show you a little bit more information about what's going on here. So in this view, it's going to actually break it down even more in terms of the level of engagement with those individuals. So at the very bottom, I've got a group that is those who have not opened my email. So at the bottom here, right above that, I got a group who has opened my email. I can see that Emily here has replied, and these two individuals have actually visited. I guess I got to introduce this as well. So Tellwise actually produces a unique landing page for each prospect, which creates a really rich experience as it's I like to call it a personalized prospecting portal from which you can share content and instant messages and engage with those individuals. But again, going back to the point of this screen is that in real time it's broke down and prioritized who I should be calling and when. So in this case, I want to give Sarah a call because she's viewed my message, clicked in the landing page. So I'm going to initiate a dialer that we have built into our system. What's great about this dialer is it's really going to help you efficiently get through your prospecting list in a very short period of time. So in this case, my first call, I've actually got to connect to the dialer, and then I'm going to call my prospect. But as most of you know, 10 to 15% of the time people answer their phone. But by understanding that they are just now engaging with my content, I can call them within seconds and have a higher probability of them answering the phone. So in this case, Sarah actually is sitting next to me, so she declined that call. But I want to save my voice, and what I want to do is I want to drop a pre-recorded voicemail. So I'm waiting till I hear the beep, and I'm going to actually add in a little bit of personalization on top of my pre-recorded voicemail. So in this case, I'm going to say, "Hi, Sarah," and then click and leave that voicemail. So I'm now disconnected from that call. I can quickly log that call as a result, and I can also drop down the results of that pulled through straight from Salesforce. So I've just logged this call. Now I want to call Mike next. So I can now get through a ton of calls in a very short period of time. We're seeing our customer sales teams make about 40 calls an hour in a dedicated call block using this system here. Obviously, I have all the information I need at my fingertips here. If I need to go to their social profile, I'm one click away from their lead record, or even any open activities you might have for that particular individual. So again, everything I need to know about that individual at my fingertips as I'm making a call. So the other scenario is I might I might want to actually chat with an individual, right? So let's switch gears, and I'm going to send Mike a chat. So I saw that Mike had clicked in and viewed, sorry, I'm going to end out of this dialer here. I'm going to open up Mike's page, and I'm going to send Mike a quick chat. So in this flow here, I can easily drop a pre-canned message, and this gives me the ability to, again, test those messages as they go out. So I'm going to post a comment. I can see Mike's computer right next to mine. That comment is already displayed. So he's going to reply, and as the internet catches up with everything, post on my side as well. So you'll see at the bottom of the screen there, I've now gone from a cold email to an instant messaging motion with my prospect. So there's no other systems on the market today that allow us to have this workflow where I can send a cold email campaign, have a net new channel of communication, and what we're finding is about 30% of the time our customers' prospects are chatting back with them when this is initiated within seconds of them viewing content. And I haven't even tried calling Mike yet. So again, we're providing net new channels, the ability to immediately respond and ultimately improve their workflow along the process.
Philly, what about data? What data do I get from this? Because we've talked a lot about data driving insights. Where do I see that?
Well, there's a number of ways that you can see data. The first place would be inside the Tellwise app. I want to just get a quick view of how my templates are performing. So as a team, I can roll up all this information and I can start to see how my templates are performing, right? So for example, here I did an A/B test where I used the same subject line, best point of contact, and best point of contact again here. And what I found is that there was a difference in the response rate for one that had a different call to action. So I can easily test different segments of my messaging, whether it's the subject line in relation to email opens, or my call to action in response to content views and click-throughs. So really interesting data, and this is the fun I have working with all of our customers is coaching them through how to analyze this data.
So that might be useful for onboarding new reps. How can I use this?
Exactly. So if you can understand what messaging is working, not just for emails, but for voicemail scripts as well, your reps day one can be given the highest performing email templates, the highest performing voicemail scripts, and they can plug and play right off the bat. So they don't have to figure it out on their own. They can use what's already working for your company and your target prospects.
What about, I get a lot of data in my CRM, and I do a lot of analysis from there. What's the story there?
So great, since we load all of those activities into the CRM, anywhere from email sent, delivered, replies, content views, as well as all of the call data are logged into the CRM. So in this case, like I mentioned earlier, I'm an account executive here at Tellwise. Here's my 3 SDRs that I've got calling, booking appointments for me. So I can quickly look in and understand what's going on with their call volume, and more importantly, how many conversations they're having greater than 2 minutes. You know, here at Tellwise, we know that the likeliness of booking an appointment for a call less than 2 minutes is just about 0. So that's our benchmark for understanding if they're having a quality conversation. But I can also see down here in the bottom middle what the call result is. So of those actual conversations that they have, was it a positive, neutral, negative, or do they need to be coached on that information? So just real quickly get insights into any specific piece of their prospecting effort.
Interesting stuff.
So there's a lot of, like I said, a lot more interesting things. We won't go on that today. What I want to do is just talk a little bit about how some of our current customers are leveraging Tellwise. So here's 5 of my favorite customers. So I'll just quickly highlight some of the things that they're telling me they're seeing benefits from using Tellwise, other than getting to talk to me on a regular basis. So HO Sports, interesting use case. They actually have telling me they have a greater ability to forecast their channel partners' production by understanding which of those channel partners is engaging with their content. So HO Sports sells water sports equipment, and they provide a lot of educational content. So again, if they're not viewing it, they're probably not front of mind for that reseller. Rosetta Stone, another one of my favorite organizations, they have the traditional SDR team, account executive team, account manager team, and support, and they found that they're struggling with handoffs and transferring of information across each of those segments of their sales process. So one of the biggest benefits we're seeing is improved information transfer along those handoffs throughout their process. Going back to thinking about coaching individuals on messaging, I helped FICO go from an average open rate of 12% to 32% by, again, working with them to evaluate what their current messaging is doing, offer some best practices, and continue to move that forward. And then F tells me that Tellwise is the glue that holds their sales process together, again, going back to that data consolidation. I guess we got one more SizeRex there. They are one of the ones that are seeing that 30% increase in conversations, as well as the productivity gains of saving time, making calls, and executing their emails.
But didn't they teach you a trick?
Oh yeah, one of their reps. You know, the great thing about talking with sales teams is we learn just as much from them about all the different use cases and scenarios that they present. Being that our system allows you to, in real time, break down that group based on who has opened, has not opened, who's clicked through, who's replied, etc. One of their reps was actually resending the email to the group that had not opened their email the next day. So it got us thinking. That's a great practice, and we're doing it on our own. And what we're finding is that you might get a 20% open rate the first day, Well, if you send out 100 emails, that's 80 people that did not look at your message. You resend that 80 the next day, and you're going to get another, 12 to 15% open rate is what we're seeing on average. So now you've just gone from 20 to 32% open rate for that same message by changing the subject line in first sentence to try to spark a different emotion with those individuals.
I guess the plan then over time is that those people get more familiar with your system, you're more likely to get into their selection for future products and services.
Right, it's all about multi-channel touches, right? So are you leaving a trail of impressions? We're not talking about social media today, but are you reaching out via social media? Are you matching your voicemail scripts to your email pitch, right? So every time that they hear your name, hear your company name, and hear your value proposition, you're building brand awareness for these people. Because we know that it takes 8 to 12 touches to get these people to engage with you.
All right, Billy, let's recap.
So again, thinking about, well, in this case, I always think about writing in my messages, what's in it for my prospect, right? So what's in it for you all listening here today? So real-time analytics, again, across all those channels, right? Email, content conception, and call data. The ability to improve your workflow by executing from any environment that you're working on, whether that's Salesforce, ranking, and then having the ability to have a prioritized list based on actual data, actual engagement, what they're actually doing at that moment, and again, specific to your target audience. And then, again, wherever you're working, we allow you to launch emails and make calls. Again, Salesforce, ranking, or even Outlook has a great plugin in Outlook that provides all of the capabilities of Tellwise that you find on the web-based app are within Outlook, as well as Gmail. And my personal favorite, since I'm not doing a lot of high-volume prospecting, I'm waiting for people to respond to very personalized follow-ups. I want to know in my live feed, wherever I'm working, whether I'm in Gmail, Outlook, or my CRM, I have that live feed open and giving me the ability to respond immediately with those individuals. And then, of course, the web-based app, everything you saw for all those different components are packaged up neatly in our web-based app.
So although you have all the tools you need in one place, it's really the analytics that drive your tweaks of your process so that you can get more conversations going with more prospects along the line from when they first get to know about you through to becoming a customer and then on from there. So if you have any questions about our platform, feel free to type them into the question box at the bottom. And I've got a couple of questions that came in, Billy. So, with an enablement solution like Tellwise, how long does it take to set up?
Oh, that's the glorious thing, that I can have a handful of reps onboarded up and running within a couple of hours. A lot of tools out there. It's a really heavy cost and time commitment just to get started.
The next thing is that marketing's had several years now with marketing enablement type solutions, and so they've really got their science down. They understand open rates and click-throughs. How do you help new leaders that are coming into this with the insight that's being derived here, so that they can improve their processes, get more conversations, and do better within their selling platform?
Right. Well, fundamentally, if you think about it, Tellwise is a marketing automation system built for sellers to run their campaigns and to provide all of that information and analytics that respond with that. So giving them more control, giving them more feedback will help make sellers think more like marketers.
And so what about small companies? Do you help small companies with this stuff?
Well, that's one of the favorite quotes I have from another company we work with. I think they've got 3 reps, but he said, Billy, your technology makes us look and feel like a bigger company. Plus, it gives their reps a little bit more bandwidth. Back in the early days of Tellwise, I wore many hats. I didn't have a lot of time to focus on any one aspect of it. So if you again wear many hats at a small company, to get time back is so valuable, and Tellwise is a tool that helps that productivity.
Yeah, we see in call blocks what type of activity capable here?
Yeah, so we're seeing our customers, their sales teams, if they're doing a dedicated call block, let's say they're going to do an hour call blitz, easily making 40 to 45 calls without even breaking up a sweat. Again, utilizing the pre-recorded voicemails, the prioritized list, really boosts efficiency.
The voicemail and the personalization of the voicemail is really quite terrific, because you can always say, "Hi Joe," or "Hi Billy," and then drop that voicemail, so that whatever you've recorded either the day before or the week before still is that punchy script, right?
Yeah, it's all of our reps say, having a conversation during the golden hour in the afternoon, in traditional ways, they're exhausted by the time they get to that. But if they are able to save their voice, save their energy, when they do get those conversations, they'll have more pep and excitement in their voice.
Any other recommendations when they're doing that call block?
So I would always recommend to email first, right? Because that's going to give you the real-time breakdown of what's happening. So we know that if you can engage with somebody via chat or calling within 5 minutes of them viewing your content, you're 10 times more likely for them to answer. Same thing goes for email opens. And again, having that ability to respond immediately is the most important.
I think getting them to turn off some of the devices that they have that tend to distract them during those call blocks makes them more efficient, right?
Yeah, and you think about what our tendencies are first thing in the morning. We always think respond to emails first. Well, emails aren't designed to be immediately responsive. Someone sends an email, they know it's going to be hours or a day before they get a response. So having the ability to send those emails first, but we can also schedule them the night before. So as I'm tidying up for today, I'm scheduling my emails throughout the next morning. I can come in, my fresh cup of coffee, sit down, do an hour call block without engaging with any of those other mediums, get it done, start a few conversations, and then get to those other tasks outside of the golden hour.
That's great. So all the insights you need derived from all the tools you use today in one place, either in Tellwise or your CRM, such that you can tweak your process and get more conversations going in a world which is hard to have those conversations, right?
Right.
So if there's no more questions, then feel free to send us a note. Here's our offer for attending the webinar. So everyone gets additional free months with our platform if you sign up over the next 4 weeks. That's this quarter, first quarter of the year. Love to have you join us as customers, and you'll get the benefit of coaching that's thrown into the cost of the platform, and the benefits of all of our other insight that we drive from our customers.
Probably wondering how to get a hold of us. You can reach me directly, Billy, at tellwise.com. That's BILLY at tellwise, TELLWISE.com.
And I'm Mike at Tellwise. Feel free and have a great day. So if we look back at the customer journey, we hear a lot about how things have changed, and it does depend on whether you're in the inbound or outbound mode, or if your company is fortunate to have both modes. The traditional journey hasn't really changed since I was in sales, frankly, which was 15 or so years ago. The process of lead development might have started in those days at an event, or for me, back in England, a pub, or more likely by post. The process is pretty similar. In the case of inbound leads, though, this has changed significantly. And we see this happening in organizations. So if, as a sales leader in a business, I was interested in a sales enablement solution, I might ask one of my team, that is probably not the person that any of the vendors want to talk to go and research products that might solve my enablement issue. So that person goes off and does the solution search. I actually had the need identified before that. They, with all their experience, figure out what you need as an organization, and will select the 2 or 3 vendors that they want to take a look at. To this point, that they choose to pick the opportunity to become a lead within your organization. And they fill in a form, and as they fill in that form, they're introduced to your inbound team. The next thing is that the lead already knows what they want. They want to take a look at your solution, but there's a very short buying window at this point in time, when ideally you really want to have them thinking of you, as in the outbound case, when they identify the need. So that window of opportunity is very short. They come in, they're in their buying window, they know they need a tool, and you know that you're going to be compared to 1 or 2 other solutions at this point in time. Your need to have conversations is significant with this lead, primarily because it's the only way you have to differentiate yourselves in a market that's highly commoditized in these days. So in the case of the next slide. And the journey goes on as you go through the they're making their purchase decision. The more conversations you have, the more ability you have to bring them through their first value, get them to adopt your solutions, grow the value within their organization, increase the users, the functionality they're using, and so forth. So the key thing here is that in the case of outbound, you're really trying to work with organizations to make them think of you first, or create the idea, as in the old process that we used to have in days of old. And in the case of inbound, they're finding you on the web, discovering that